Hey y'all, Mike with Cardboard Kingdom. Welcome back to another Disney Lorcana video. Today we're going to talk about how set rotations are going to impact your enchanteds from set 1 through 4. Rotations are a very polarizing topic. A lot of people are very happy about rotations. A lot of people are very sad about rotations. It ignited a lot of conversation and fear in the market as it relates to, some of these cards no longer being viable in the current meta. And a lot of people are scared about that. I think reasonably so. I definitely was when I heard it. And so I think it's worth kind of just having a video set aside. I've talked about lists in some other videos, but just having its own time to shine in terms of what is my strategy, what do I think is going to happen with the enchanteds from set 1 through 4. Once Fabled comes out and they're rotated, what does this mean for these particular cards? So we're going to look at 4 examples in total. We're going to look at cards that I feel like are the most at risk. We're going to look at cards that I feel like have the most to gain. We're going to look at cards that I think are relatively flat to unimpacted, and then we're going to look at one card specifically that I'm very intrigued on what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen with this particular card, and so we'll go through kind of each use case, talk about some other cards that fit that certain mold, and then we'll wrap up the video. So to start us off with the tier that I think are at most risk for Fabled, for the reprints, for price depreciation when they are rotated out, are cards like Robin Hood, Champion of Sherwood. This is an enchanted that I personally, when I'm playing Steel Song, I have 4 enchanted versions of this card in my deck. This is a card that I love the art, I love the character, it's very useful in the game, it's one of the best cards that's been printed, and therefore a lot of copies of this enchanted card have been taken off of the market to be put into decks. We know that anytime that happens, that is going to increase the price valuation of this particular card. In a world where Robin Hood is not used in any decks, this card is probably closer to like that $50 to $60 enchanted range. The fact that it's at 122, used to be at 150, we've seen this card I think above 200 at a given time, is because it is used in so many decks. It is very reliable within the current metagame. So this is a card that as it is phased out, it is probably going to see price depreciation. And so this is one in particular, like I have 4 copies of this card. I paid more than 122 for every single copy that I have. Now you guys know me and my belief in Lorcana long term, so like I have zero desire to part with these cards. I very rarely sell my enchanteds because I am of the belief that virtually every enchanted in Disney Lorcana is undervalued to a certain degree. I think that the pie, or the sandbox at which we're playing in, is going to grow infinitely over time. Not infinitely, exponentially over time, and therefore the amount of people that want Robin Hood is going to be much larger in the future than want Robin Hood now. Therefore, I want my copy of Robin Hood, right? So I'm not necessarily going to be selling this card, but I'm also price agnostic in the sense that I built my collection where I don't have to sell a given piece to buy a new piece. I don't have to sell a given card to pay interest on a credit card, right? I am completely absolvent of any risk. Therefore, this card going down does not matter to me whatsoever. I'm completely price agnostic when it comes to that. But if I had to bet on this card going up or down, I would say it's probably going to go down, right? Now, the $30 to $40 it goes down is irrelevant to me, but I know it might mean something to you guys and to people who are, they're just kind of like, they have one deck, they want it to be the shiniest version of that deck, they don't really collect anything outside of that. Might be time to offload your Robin Hood enchanteds. And so I think that the fact that this card is going to be rotated, it's going to be pulled out of decks, the supply is going to start to increase, and that's therefore going to lead to the price depreciation of this card. Another thing going against Robin Hood is the fact that it's a set 3 card, Into the Inklings. We know vehemently, without a doubt, that this is the most printed set in existence. Inklings was around in its cycle for much longer than any other set has ever existed. So therefore, I mean, it was at $5 bin stores. Now, of course, I was never fortunate to see any of that, but I mean, we saw many confirmed people on Reddit, on Twitter, etc. of like, hey, I found this booster box for like $20 at my local $5 bin store. Like, what's going on? So we know that Inklings was printed into it in just a preposterous volume, at least for the ecosystem right now. So Robin Hood, on top of being a very meta, reliable character that has an inflated price because of his playability, is also in the most printed set in existence. That does not mean that he's worthless. That does not mean that you should sell all of his copies of the card that you have. That just means that he's going to have the most downward pressure for his given price. Now, before you go on to TCGPlayer and sell that card, let me paint a picture where you're going to regret selling that. A, if you're going to be around for a long time like I am. Time heals all wounds. This card going down the short term is going to be irrelevant years from now, should you believe that Lorcana is going to hit the mass scale that I do, right? If you share that vision, then and you have time and you have no need to sell it right now, I would encourage you to hold on to the card. I definitely will be. Another reason why you should hold on to the card, or where you might consider before you sell it, is that what if in Whispers in the Well or even Fabled, and we just don't know yet, this card is brought forward? What if this card is reprinted? And therefore, and just to clarify, we know for a fact that Ravensburger has stated they are not going to reprint the enchanted arts of a given card. So should, Robin Hood be printed and Fabled be reprinted, his Champion of Sherwood legendary art would be on that card, but his enchanted art would not be. And therefore, we then know that, hey, this card's already been in the meta for the, over the first 15 months it's been out. It's probably going to continue to be in the meta for the next 2 years, or at least has a decent shot. At that point, these enchanted copies are not going to hit the market. And if it is then reprinted, we know that it's got 2 more years, and then I think it's a massive buy opportunity, right? And so we don't know what's going to be reprinted yet. We know some certain cards, we're going to talk about those in a minute, but that's a way in which you might sell this card today. We get Fabled reveals in a month, and we see that Champion of Sherwood is being brought forward because it's an iconic card in a lot of steel decks. A lot of decks are built around this card. It's a card that's held a lot of value. If it's brought forward, then that immediately makes it a buy, and then you're going to regret selling it, right? Especially if it shoots up to 150, 200 off that news, you're going to be like, why did I sell it for 120, right? Or sell it for 90 if it gets that low, etc. But this is one that I think could see a lot of downward pressure. Moving over to one that I think is a massive buy right now, or at least a safe buy right now, is Tinkerbell Giant Fairy. This is an enchanted that we know is going to be reprinted and Fabled. So that super rare, that the traditional artwork on the super rare from the first chapter, we know is going to appear in Fabled. We know it's included as a promo in their little binder collection. And or just side note, that card is gorgeous. I'm going to have a lot of those cards. But we know that it's going to be carried forward. So we know that it's got another 24 months plus of being able to be played in the current meta. Therefore, the fact that this card, we know the enchanted art is not going to be reprinted. We know that the first chapter boxes have gone to oblivion in terms of price, and the likelihood that they're ripped moving forward is very, very slim. The fact that this card is sitting at 258, it's got a stable floor in my opinion, and only has upside as the game grows and more players come in and they want the oldest, shiniest version of the cards in their deck. Maybe they weren't around in this current meta where this card was being played. They might be after it, and on top of collectors coming in and also wanting the card, that gives this all the reason in the world that I think this card has a very safe floor at 258. So this is a card that I have absolutely no problem pushing the add to cart button right now for this given card. Also, it's worth noting we can only go a year. This card's got a lot longer track record than a year, but this card was, I think, 350 to 400 for a raw copy for a long time. You can see when we date back to the oldest that we can on TCGPlayer, was selling for $314. And so when these cards get reprinted and brought forward, their oldest enchanted versions, that's going to just inflate the price more and more, as it's going to have another 24-month cycle in the meta, in core constructed. This is a card that is going to continue to be used, and it's a great card. It's a great art. It's an iconic first chapter enchanted. Like, it's got everything going for it, and that's why I would feel fine, and why I think rotations is a massive benefit for this card, and really any enchanted that is going to be reprinted moving forward. I feel like it's ultimately going to set us up for success for us that have been here for a long time and are holding these given cards. Now, a card that I think is going to remain relatively flat and kind of be unfazed is something like the Aurora Dreaming Guardian from the first chapter. Amazing art, the castle, the background, the flowers. She's levitating, she's asleep. Like, I've talked about this card a lot. Gorgeous, gorgeous artwork. My daughter loves this card. I'm a massive fan of it. But this is a card that I feel like at $150, well, that's a damage. I maybe avoid that one. But at $162, this is a card that's not really being used in the meta at all. And so therefore, I feel like it's a princess from the first chapter, iconic art, iconic IP. $162 for this card is a no-brainer to me. In my opinion, this card should be closer to a $250, $300+ card, and just given the current market ecosystem and the current market that we're transacting in. So 162 is a no-brainer for me, and I don't see a massive downside for this card when it's rotated because it's not used in any decks. Now, there's going to be one person in the comments like, actually, Michael, I run 4 of these. Okay, I've never seen it. Sure, there's somebody running them, but by and large, this is not a card that is very reliably used within the meta. So this is a card that I think is going to remain relatively unimpacted. I think it's absolutely a card that I would feel confident in conviction in buying right now because of all the things I mentioned. It's got the princess premium, everything that we've talked about, and it's not being used in the meta. So that 160 floor price is very, very safe. Now, I would probably avoid the damaged one for 150. If you're going to sell me a damaged one, I could get a near mint one for $10 more. Probably going to go the near mint route. And once again, I think it goes without saying, but that's not me saying that Aurora is going to go to the moon after rotations either. I think this natural progression in this natural cycle of, it just kind of naturally going up and to the right is the way that it's going to grow over time. And that might be slow. That might be non-existent for a long time. But ultimately, if you believe like I do that the sandbox that we're playing in is going to grow exponentially, well, then this card is at 162. It's going to be at 162, if you apply enough time, I think that you're going to be looking back at this and thinking that it's a great purchase, but I don't know that it's going to go to the moon overnight, and it might go down in the short term, right? I just feel very safe, given the current market dynamics, current meta play, etc., that this card is not going to see any massive depreciation should it, once these rotations hit for Fabled. I don't think this card is going to be relatively impacted whatsoever. Now, a card that I am very uncertain about would be the Cinderella Ballroom Sensation. So this is a card, one of my favorite arts in all of Disney Lorcana. This card has a lot going for it. I even got it out of the case to show you guys the PSA 10 version of it. This card is just, it's an amazing card. Once again, shout out to the person who commented on my video and said that it's art personified. I agree completely. This card just pops like no other. I'd want like a picture on the wall of it. Like it is just a tremendous piece of art. And so this card is a card that hits a lot of fundamentals that I'm looking for as a collector, but it also has a lot of playability within the game. My current Steel Song deck and pretty much every Steel Song deck out there, which if you're not familiar and you don't play the game, it's a very popular deck. It's kind of, in my opinion, the singing mechanic for Disney Lorcana is what makes Lorcana special. It feels very Disney. It feels very fun. It's very overpowered, in my opinion, as a casual playing the trading card game. But this is a card that is a 4 of in every single Steel Song deck. Therefore, it's got the inflated price due to playability. Now, Cinderella is a very iconic IP. It's a fan favorite character. It's in a gorgeous artwork. It's in Rise of the Floodborn, which in my opinion is one of the more underprinted sets. I don't want to act like it's rare that it wasn't printed a lot. I would just say it's a lot less printed than, like, let's say the first chapter. It's very hard to grade. Like, there's a lot that's going for it, but it is used in the meta. And so I'm very interested to see, do we see this card plummet from 265 down to 200? I know at that point, I'm going to be a buyer of the card, and I'm sure a lot of you guys are as well. But, do we see that? Or is this one that just, because the artwork, because the IP, because all the things that are going for it, the Princess Premium, etc., can that float the 265 price and sustain it? My guess would be that should this card not be reprinted, we get to Fabled and Steel Song is phased out, this card might hit a $200 floor. It might go below that. I don't know. My guess would be, like, I would probably say like a floor of 200 sounds right. But like I said, like, I'll be a buyer at that point, right? And I think that this is a good example of cards that present great opportunity for those of us who are here currently. We already love these cards. Like, I love this card. I think it's a gorgeous piece of artwork. It's the first Cinderella Enchanted that existed. Great artwork, playable in the game, etc., etc. I've mentioned it 100 times. But this would be a card that, like, when we talk about buying the dip, like, should we see a massive depreciation on this card whenever rotation comes, I'll just simply be a buyer of it, right? I like this card. I love this card. I want some more of this card. And so that's a pretty, easy decision for me. And that also, we'll end the video on this topic. That also presents a very unique opportunity for my people who don't open packs and are very much just on, like, the collectible side, the buy the single side, etc. I think that these rotations are going to provide a great opportunity for you guys who maybe aren't chasing what's to come in Fabled with the Iconics, the Epics, the Enchanteds, the reprints, etc. For those of you guys who are more focused on just buying the singles and kind of moving about the singles in a very financially motivated way, I think that buying these cards to dip like Cinderella is going to be a tremendous opportunity for you all. Now, I have a very intimate relationship with Lorcana as it relates to opening packs, and so I can't make this purely a financial vehicle. As many of you know, that I got into Lorcana with my daughter. I thoroughly enjoy opening packs with her, building her binder collection, like doing all of that. That is a very intimate process and part of my Lorcana journey. And so I don't have the ability to just simply not open packs anymore because it's not sound, financially. I know that I should not be opening packs. I know that I should set money aside, completely ignore Fabled, go and buy the old stuff, and maybe buy the Fabled singles once it's kind of a little bit later out of rotation, etc., etc. But I know the fun that I have with opening packs with my daughter, doing stuff for the channel, like all the stuff that goes with that. So I know that I will be interacting with Fabled, and I'm very, very excited for it, right? I've said that many times. But for my people who are not interested in opening packs and don't really have a deep connection with that experience and have that intimate experience that I've talked about, going and buying some of these cards that see depreciation for really just meta purposes, I think create a tremendous buying opportunity, especially for these iconic cards like Cinderella Ballroom Sensation. I mean, she's the first ever Cinderella Enchanted for a game that I think is going to be around for a long time. One of the most iconic, if not the most Disney iconic, like, princess. It's all over all the marketing, right? Is if you think of Disney and you think of princesses, one of the core princesses is Cinderella. There's no doubt about it. Plus, on top of that, when we talk about our fundamentals of older, minter, rare, irrelevant, I mean, that minter part, this card is very hard to grade, right? I've talked about it a lot. I think last I looked, there's like 700 copies of a gem mint grade Cinderella. I mean, the fact that there's only, let's just say there's 700, it's probably gone up since then. I haven't looked at it for a while, but if there's only 699, hypothetically, more of these out there in a gem mint grade, like, I'm glad I have one, right? And that card's not leaving my collection. And I think it's going to be worth a lot more than it is right now. But I don't, once again, I don't know that to be true. I cannot see the future. I'm just simply putting my lens on how I would go about this. If Lorcana became purely a financial vehicle for me, and I no longer cared about opening the new set, playing the game, sharing this experience with my family, etc., then I would absolutely ignore Fabled and go after the older stuff like set 1 through 4 Enchanted that have been rotated. Now, you guys know that also as a financial vehicle, I focus a lot on the promos and the stuff that doesn't come out of booster packs, like the D23 cards, like the organized play promos, trophy promos, etc. I think those are definitely the way to move about this hobby as it relates to being a purely financial vehicle. But I have a connection to these cards. I've opened every single set with my daughter. I will continue to open every single set with my daughter. The artwork is amazing, and we're making tremendous memories with these cards. Like, I will never forget when we opened this card. It's the Donald Duck Enchanted from Marquesia's Island. My daughter was taken back at how beautiful the card was. That is a memory very similar to when we opened the uncommon Elsa Snow Queen. Like, those memories are ingrained in me. I'm establishing core connections with my family through this trading card game, which I think is absolutely amazing, right? And the cherry on top is that it can be a financial vehicle. It has the opportunity, in my opinion, to appreciate in value. So I'm creating these core memories. I'm playing the game. It's a tremendous way to just, like, spend time. It's very thought-provoking. It's a very well-designed game. The art is gorgeous. I'm building these memories, and it has the chance to appreciate in value. Like, get out of town. Like, that just sounds too good to be true, right? That just sounds wholly too good to be true. So I'm feeling very grateful for Lorcana overall. I'm very excited about the future. Excited to get this vehicle conundrum behind me, so I can start aggressively buying cards again. Very, very excited for that. I do want to sell one of my cases of the first chapter. So if you're interested in that, I did the auction. It didn't sell. I did sell the trove. Someone reached out and wanted the trove that I had for sale. So I did sell that. But if you are interested in a very, very mint, like, been bubble wrapped since inception, since I picked it up from the LGS many months ago, if you're interested in a sealed case of the first chapter, let me know. I'll be happy to knock maybe like 5% off the current market price and sell it to you. And and get you taken care of. So if you're into that, let me know. But other than that, guys, thank you very much for watching, and please let me know your thoughts. Right, if you disagree with my opinion here, look, it's simply my opinion. Lorcana is very, very new. We have no set defined market cycles of what's going to happen when these things happen. Everyone's guessing, right? No one can see the future. No one knows what's going to happen without a doubt. These are the things that I think are going to happen based on the fundamentals, that how I understand the trading card game world and how I look at Lorcana, but that does not mean that I'm right and you're wrong if you have a different opinion. So please let me know your thoughts in the comments if you have a different opinion, and I would be glad to talk about it, right? And I think it'll be good for people to hear different points of view. With that being said, thank you for the people who have signed up for the membership on the channel. That's been really, really cool. A couple people have hopped in there, so thank you to both James and Old Video. And then other than that, guys, yeah, we're done. I was thinking if I had one more thing, but I think we'll wait for another video for that. So with that being said, thank you very much for watching, guys. Love you all. I will talk to you soon. Goodbye.